First impressions in life are everything, and video game first impressions are no exception. So if a game sucks for the first hour or so, then it will probably suck for the rest of the game. Not to the same standards of video game bosses though. If the first boss of a video game sucks, then I can forgive it because later bosses usually improve on it. And if you couldn't be bothered to read the title, then this list is going to be about these bosses. I'm going to be judging these bosses by how fun they are, how well they test your newly obtained skills, and how well they set the tone in the game. Like usual, only one per franchise, usual rules, you get the general idea. So let's just get this thing started. Despite what I said just about 20 seconds ago, there are bosses that are very misleading to the rest of the bosses later in the game. Galdon from Star Fox Adventures is a pretty good example, or a bad example depending on what way you look at it. Either way, it is a good fight, even if it is rather misleading. After clearing the first major area in the game about 2 or 3 hours in, what greets you at the end is this massive motherfucker, completely frozen over. So what bloody genius decided to free him from his icy tomb? Oh, that's who. Now that you realise that the reptilian beast has the spellstone, you now need to pry for his cold, dead hands. The fight is kinda simple. All you need to do is hit his weak spot on his stomach, which is green, and once you do that, hit him on his ass, which is red. So after doing that, this happens. Despite the fact Fox has just been eaten, he has yet to die. While you're stuck in the back of Galdon's throat, you see there's no way of escape. So maybe if you hit something you can escape. Now that looked like it hurts. Repeat this a couple times and this guy dies. So dramatically. This fight is great and a pretty good way to start with Star Fox Adventures bosses. Which makes it such a letdown to see 2 of the other bosses were either not even a boss or so freaking boring. I am going to say this right here and now. The final fight against Cortex from the original Crash Bandicoot was a real letdown. It was easy, boring, basic, and just not fun whatsoever. Come 8 years later and he is the first boss of Crash Twinsanity. It's still kinda simple now, with Crash Twinsanity humour added.
Here's one you can return.
So yeah, needless to say, you beat him rather easily. Then... wait. What the hell's that? Holy crap, that thing is huge! While the first phase is decent enough, this boss is what really makes this a cool first fight. Engine is piloting a mecha-sized mecha doppelganger, is armed with missiles and a chainsaw and, sneezing. Keep a pack of tissues with you, kids. After 2 hits, he will lose his chainsaw. 2 hits after that, he will lose his missile launcher, then 3 hits after that, his nose will set on fire. And that music. That freaking music! This boss battle is a really good first boss and it does justice to the rest of the game because it lets you know what is in store pretty well. But I just need to ask a quick question. How the hell is Crash able to not only get this thing back from his dimension and end Sanity Island to the 10th dimension, rebuild it, figure out how to pilot it within a matter of 5 minutes during the final boss? Where is the logic? I'm not sure if you knew this or not, but Devil May Cry is hard. Like, chopping into an onion without getting teary eyes is sort of hard. I mean, yeah, the first few levels aren't all that bad, a little bit repetitive, but it's not tough, apart from a couple mini-bosses. That is until you reach chapter 3 and you meet the Phantom. So that's where Big Ass Spider got the inspiration from. While he looks like he'd be good friends with Magmadon from Crash of the Titans, Phantom is not easy to beat. Bosses are usually supposed to be difficulty spikes, but this is just plain ridiculous. The fight is fun however because everything this guy does involves fire. Creating fire pillars from the ground, breathing fire-spitting fireballs, yeah, it is only the 3rd level. But Swordsman, if he's so difficult, then why is he on this list? Well, like I said before, Devil May Cry is a pretty tough game. And at this point in the game where the game starts to get really difficult because the enemies toughen up, the challenges toughen up, and the bosses toughen up. So it's not just a taste of later bosses in the game, it's a taste of the entire game which is to come. Oh yeah, and you fight this guy 3 times! What's left to say about Majora's Mask which hasn't already been said before? Well, the bosses are actually kind of all over the place in this game. I mean, Twin Mold was a good fight, but Goat was seriously easy, and don't you get me started on that fucking fish. In fact, other than Twin Mold, I'd actually say the best boss in the game was actually the first boss, Ardolwa. Aside from the cool design of a badass sounding nickname, this guy actually has a lot going for him. The fight against Ardolwa is the only sword fight against the boss you get in Majora's Mask, and it's kind of a fair fight as well, apart from the fact that he can summon minions to attack you. His attacks are limited to his sword, and he doesn't even have any supernatural attacks either, which is actually kind of impressive, especially for a Zelda boss. Yeah, being a first boss is kind of simple, and it does get kind of easy, but at least there's a chance you could die. Goma! Definitely my favourite first boss in the Zelda series. There's just one little problem with this guy. He won't shut up! You know, first bosses in the Rayman series are usually pretty easy when you think about it. I mean, Boss Bird was easy enough to beat without taking a single hit. The Infernal Machine, which would only attack you if you came within a certain distance of a part of it. Mosquito, who could get stunned in between his attacks. And do I even need to explain Axel from Rayman 2? No, I don't. So yeah, Masquerade from Rayman 3 would have come as one hell of a shock if you fought the other bosses before him. What makes this fight more harder than most of the other bosses in the series is that it's all a matter of timing and control. Since Karge will follow you all around the arena, he will flatten you down to a stingray if he catches up to you, and once he does, God, you take a fucking hammering from this guy. But to beat this guy, you simply need to make contact with the blue lights forming a pentagon around the arena while he's trying to flatten him down. Do this and you're rewarded with an orange combat fatigue, which lets you use a freaking missile launcher! Yeah, use this missile launcher to blow Karge to the Kingdom Come. Repeat a couple of times and you win? Oh, hell yeah, this is much more like it. You take control of Karge's walker robot thing and proceed to flatten everything down in sight when...
Coming to you live from Clearview Stadium where Rayman is on hand to settle the score with bombs.
Oh, I'm sorry, when did this become a Death Watch game?
Whoever has to clean up this mess is going to have a hard time pulling all the shit out of that guy. Oof, it's almost as if Jack hates the cleaning crew.
For the No More Heroes series, you have two contenders, Death Metal and Skelter Helter. But it wasn't even close. Skelter Helter wins every single time. While Death Metal has that awesome saber thing as a weapon, Skelter Helter had a beam katana just like Travis, and quite possibly the coolest revolver ever. The fight takes place on a snowy building in the middle of Santa Destroy, where you and the 51st ranked assassin battle. This guy is pretty difficult to fight considering he has a counter to long distance fighting and you don't, or up close combat where he slashes you to shredded paper with his katana. But easily the best bit about this guy is that even though you cut off his freaking head, Skeletor lives for about 5 minutes when he tells you his evil plan to get revenge on Travis for killing his brother. Great fight, great start to a great game. But why does Skeletor decide to work with Baldy McFuckhead over here to try and get his revenge on Travis? He could have just killed him on his own. Maybe. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Next! Even though it was the third game in the series, Super Paper Mario was the first Paper Mario game I actually played, so I didn't mind it being a platformer rather than an RPG. It had some great level designs, the comedy was hilarious, the music was decent, and had some killer bosses. And I knew this was going to be the case after fighting the first proper boss and the final obstacle of the first world, FRACKTAIL. Aside from looking like something that would be a kid's version of Shadow of the Colossus, FRACKTAIL was actually a good guy, being the protector of the pure heart of Lion Man who waited for Mario for centuries. Literally. Until Dementio tinkered with his circuits and made it go nuts. Now he has you to take it out on. This guy flies sky high in the background and can fly in and out at will. Until he flies towards the screen and then oh Jesus! Now you have to make use of the 3D effect which this game specialises in, and use it on the first boss. That is a huge feeling of awe when you're riding on his back 100 feet in the air, in which case you need to chuck those random duck creatures at his obvious weak spot on his head. Repeat and you're victorious, as in this situation where FRACKTAIL's flesh starts to explode, revealing bone. When you consider he's a robot, Mario and logic just don't go together. Next. Imagine this. Samus and a group of bounty hunters have just unexpectedly been attacked by a squad of space pirates and have been forced to take action. They kill a ton of pirates and pirate minions. Samus takes her own route halfway through and comes face to face with the Berserker Lord. Now I know some people would have wanted the Parasite Queen to be on here, but that fight was a little bit too easy for my liking. This fight is much better. Let's just take a look at what this thing can do. Everything around this guy uses the full extent of the purple. He fires purple spheres at you, he spits purple acid and even pukes up purple vomit. Yeah, nice. The great thing about this fight is that it is one of 2 bosses in the game which you can't use Hyper Beam, which makes it more difficult. And look at this guy can withstand. And after all that, he's still alive. You meet him again on Elysia and you have to fight him a second time. If that's not proof that the Berserker Lord is a tank, well, nothing is. This fight is very fun and a great way to start the awesome line of Metroid Prime 3 bosses. And yeah, I forgot, Metroid Prime 3 is a brilliant game. Seriously, if you haven't played it, go turn off this video, stop what you're doing. If you're at work, just leave and now play it. It'll do you the world's good. What is the first thing you expect to fight in a video game? A minor grunt, right? So what were people expecting when they stuck Shadow of the Colossus on for the first time? Oh, I have to fight that? Oh yes, and this fight is awesome. Varus, though the admittingly odd design choice for a first boss, this boss tells you what you are going to expect for the rest of the game better than all the other bosses on this list. Even though an expert can beat this guy in about 2 minutes flat, and even about 1 minute if they have that second blade you obtain during time attack, a beginner is going to struggle like hell against against him. The fight is the greatest tutorial ever. Climbing onto the beast and stabbing it in the leg to bring it down to its knees and climb even higher? Bloody genius if I do say so myself. And while all this is happening, the open way is playing in the background. While I think he is far from the best boss in the game, I can understand why a lot of people like him so much, since he just sets the tone of the game so brilliantly. And that ending music, when you slay the beast, is so moving. It's actually kind of sad. The Metal Gear series is one of those franchises which starts off fair but gets more challenging as it goes along. You know, because you're just one soldier doing his job. You have no superpowers, you're just armed with a gun and a load of rations. So what happens when they decide to make it a bit more extreme? Yeah, Metal Gear Rising manages to set the combat levels to the maximum, so you'd expect the first boss to be like a cyborg ninja like Sundowner. Oh hell no. You want me to fight Metal Gear Ray as the first boss? To fight with Metal Gear Ray is a long fight which requires you to use all your newly obtained skills and techniques. This is a very long battle but manages to keep a good challenge due to Ray's large array of attacks. And if you manage to get into a quick time event against him, you will take whoa, that's a lot of health. And once you beat the first phase, in a very stylish way I might say, you begin to chase Sundowner to reach the second phase of the fight, and yes, Ray is still alive. Now you cut down what's left of him by destroying his legs and his weapons. Is he dead yet? No, not yet. Yeah, it's true, this fight is kind of repetitive, and might get a little bit boring after a while. But then, the final part happens. 1 second, please. This is the greatest shit ever! You are a cyborg ninja running down a freaking building, avoiding missiles and lasers to kill a Metal Gear. And while this is happening, Rules of Nature is playing in the background. If that's not worthy of being the greatest first boss ever, then nothing is. I'm a Sacred Swordsman. And one more thing. Metal Gear Rising v Devil May Cry. Make it happen now!